Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. We're going to do I don't know if this is a bit ambitious to try and present 3 methods in one go, but I want to try my best to help you compose. I was actually going to do 4 methods. The 4th method was plugging a guitar in and using loops to create a composition, but I think that'll probably be a separate video. Let me know if you want to learn more about that, because there are some pieces I've composed using that method. That's quite fun, but we're going to go through 3 methods today. I'd love to know in the chat, whether you're watching live or the recording, I'd love to know if you have questions, because questions really give me a lot of feedback and direction to sort of go in for future content. So love to know what you think, and appreciate you watching. I see Richard's in the chat here. Richard's already quite a prolific and wonderful composer. So it's great to have Richard here, and anyone else who's joining us, thank you for watching. So we'll just get straight into it. We'll get straight into our 3 methods for composing. 3 simple and quick. I think you might be surprised. You might be surprised at how quick composition can come to you when you've got certain frameworks and certain methods to follow. So let's take a look at our little presentation here. Here we go. All right, let me know if you can see that and hear me okay. All right. Yeah, Richard would like to know about the loop video. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can do it pretty, with a lot of there's a lot of tech software these days that makes that pretty easy. But we'll save that for another time. Maybe that can be a dedicated video just for that. So before we start actually looking at the methods, I just really want to quickly want to look at some things that might be stopping you from composing. But I'd love to know in the chat too. What's stopping you from composing? What is stopping you from composing? Maybe it's one of these things. Maybe it's something else. So don't know where or how to start. Very common. The solutions though, or a solution: use a plan and process, and your ideas will come flooding out. Right? That's definitely something we're going to look at. Lots of planning processes behind everything. Not enough time. Okay, I struggle with this, even though I would be a composer and I teach composition. It's very challenging to find time to compose when you're practicing an instrument. If you've got a full-time job, if you've got a family, whatever the case, it's very challenging. But if you have a clear process, it makes the most of your time. I can definitely give it, testament to that, where I've composed pieces very quickly because there's a plan behind it. And that's the only way I'd be able to. If I wasn't able to compose something quickly, it probably just wouldn't happen. So composing pretty quickly as well. I think you'd be surprised as well when you see some of these methods. Don't know harmony. Okay, so maybe you don't know much about theory and harmony and that kind of thing. I would argue composing is one of the best ways to learn about harmony, because you're actually using harmony and you're studying composition, which when you study harmony, that's one aspect of music, but then there are many other aspects of music, from notation to rhythm to counterpoint to texture to techniques that your instrument's using, all these different things, register. And when you compose, you're actually learning about all of those things at one time. So it's a really great way to learn about music, theory, harmony, all those things. And this final one, which I'm sure a lot of people have experienced: can't string ideas together into a whole. So following the same structures that great composers used to put their ideas together into a whole will help you to put your ideas together into a whole. Okay, it's sort of like if you were going to write a novel, or if you were going to build a house, you'd probably follow some kind of template, some kind of blueprint that has been tried and tested many, many times. And that will help you string your ideas together. Because it's one thing to come up with a nice something like that, right? I just made that up on the spot. I'm sure many of people watching, you've come up with little tunes like that. So what do I do now? I've got this melody, it's nice, so maybe you write it down, it's a few bars long, and then what do you do next? But that's where having a sort of a template or structure that great composers have used is very helpful. So okay, Richard's got some good contributions here in the chat. Can't concentrate, poor time management, too many options, so you get frozen, lack of knowledge and wisdom in music theory and composition, poor improvisation abilities. Wow. Yeah, well, it's amazing that even despite that, you're still able to compose. So, and some really beautiful pieces. Yeah, good craftsmanship like Brahms. Yeah, I haven't actually got those quotes, but a couple of quotes I really like that I do say often. One is by Brahms. He says that without craftsmanship, composition is creativity is a mere reed shaken in the wind. Without craftsmanship, I'll say it again, without craftsmanship, creativity is a mere reed shaken in the wind. That's exactly like what I was saying. You come up with an idea, it's like, then what? That's where the craftsmanship comes in. That's the reed shaken in the wind, right? That's the kind of little bit of inspiration you can get, but then, inspiration comes and goes quick. You got to use craftsmanship to string it all together. Mozart's quote, what was his quote again? You would be mistaken, although people who think my art comes easily to me. People are mistaken who thinks my art comes easily to me. The words of Mozart. People who think my art comes easily to me. No one dedicates as much time and effort to composition as I. There is not a famous master whose music I've not industriously studied through many times. I'm semi-paraphrasing that. So, but fantastic quote. So he works hard at it. No, first of all, it's not as natural as people would think. He said in his own words, people are mistaken who think my art comes easily to me. Mozart. Okay? And then he said he works hard at it. I can't remember the exact words. And then the last part is he said, there is not a famous master whose music I've studied through many times. And that's something I strongly urge you, if you want to compose, study the music you're playing. And that's what a lot of the process behind the methods I'll show you today come from that. Okay, so yeah, and here we go. Richard says in the chat, melodies come to me all the time at inopportune times, but don't go much further than a short recording of my voice trying to imitate what I heard. There we go. Yeah. So, well, I hope this will give you some solutions today. So let's just go straight into our method. So these are the three methods here. We're going to do, first one is a simple melody based on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Okay, most people know Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Funnily enough, who composed Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? Do you know? Probably a composer of higher pedigree than you'd imagine, if you don't know. That is Mozart himself. He composed that, and it's basically a theme and variations for the piano. And Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is the theme that we now use as the alphabet as well. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? It's the alphabet too. The second method is a chord progression in 3 parts or 3 sections. And the third method is using a template. Okay, so these are 3 different methods that I hope can get you started composing. They are kind of progressive, simple melody, then chord progression, and then a template is going to be more, involved there. So, all right, so method 1, we have a simple melody. Okay, so here is the melody of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? I'm sure you know it, but I'll play it just in case you don't. Pay close attention to the structure of it. So observe the structure. We have A, B, A. There's a repeat structure of B. You can see the second line. So the first line and the third line are the same. That's the A and the A. They're exactly identical. And then in the B section, we have this repetition there. And I will show you that in a minute. Observe the direction of the melody and other features. So you can see melodies going up and down, or melodies going down here. And then the next process, choose a 1-octave scale as notes to select your melody from, and then use those notes trying to keep mostly smooth stepwise motion in the melody with occasional leaps. So we'll have something like, this is like a really rough plan of what we're going to do. We've got an A section, this line here, the melody's rising and then falling. We've got a B section here, the melody's descending, is going down, and then it repeats, and then we repeat bars 1 to 4. That means that in terms of composing, we're only going to write 6 measures of music. So once we've written the first 4 measures, then that gets repeated here, and then once we've written these 2 measures, they get repeated there. So see how we're looking at the structure of what Mozart has done, and you can study any melody you like in the same way, and then try to model it, and then try to write a melody that uses a similar structure, but in your own way, using your own notes. Obviously, you don't want to plagiarize, you don't want to copy, but you can't not copy the structure, because this kind of structure has been used again and again and again. So you want to copy the structure, but you don't want it to sound exactly the same. You don't want it to be a copy. Now, the less experienced or the less comfortable you are, the less brave you are as a composer, you can stick closer to your model piece, and the more brave you want to be, you can try and venture further away from it. So here's one that was prepared earlier. So what we have here, we've got our scale. It's just a G major scale. Okay, so those are like our notes. That's our palette, our palette of notes. Those are the notes we're going to use for the melody. And so what we have here, we have our A line, and then our B line, and then our A line again. So we've got our A line, and then that repeats over here, and our B line, we're repeating those 2 measures repeat here, like that. So I'll play it through, and I'll talk it through as well as we go. All right, so here we go. So I'll start from A over here. Hopefully you can see clearly. So there's our A line. Then we go to our B line. Repeat 7 and 8, and then we repeat A again. We did make one slight change, which is the last note of A. We ended on an A, on the note A, and in the scale, that's the second note of the scale, 2. At the very end, we ended on G, and that's the first note of the scale. So ending on the home note, that gives it more of a sense of conclusion. We could have ended that on G as well. That would have been totally fine, but that's just what ended up happening there. Okay, so there are a few little details I want to go through. Starting on the home note. We're starting on the home note because that gives a sense of beginning, right? And then we're going up by step, right? Like going up the scale, but we're varying the rhythm a little bit. Yeah, we're varying the rhythm. Ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, 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 ta, ta. Okay, like that. And you can see the arch shape of the melody too, rising and falling. Now we did something a little bit different here. We actually repeated bar 2. I don't know why exactly, but you can choose to do, that's the beautiful thing. Even if you have a plan or a template, you can choose to do little things differently as well. So that's where we get this scale motion, arch, rising and falling, and then we get this little leap here from B to G. All right, and then we repeat that bar. It's like a little echo. And then we go like that. And then we're at our second line. Now, we wanted to contrast the second line a little bit from the first line. One way of doing that is we did model Mozart, and the melody is going down. So that's one thing. We're also copying the we're copy and paste 7 and 8, bar 7 and 8 repeat in 9 and 10. Okay. But what we also want to do here is create more of a static shape in the melody. So the melody's not moving quite as much. It moves a lot here, but it's a little bit more static, and the rhythm's a bit slower. And we've also taken out that little G as well. There's a G at the end there, and we've taken that out. That helps to just make the section feel like it's come to an end. But we could have put the G there too, right? We could have put the G there as well. And then we just literally repeat there for A, except for that final G at the end, okay? So what we're learning here when we study, you know, a melody like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is we're learning about what makes good melody writing. What makes a melody sound pleasing, catchy, interesting, beautiful, all of those different things. And these are some of those features: the shape, rising and falling, the contrast, the repetition. Notice we also repeated the rhythm. So this da 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 is repeated. That's this rhythm here as well. So you can see there's a lot of structure, even though it's a very short, simple melody. There's a lot of structure behind it. There, okay. So that's our melody writing. What do we think? Got any questions? Oh, Paula's in the chat. Wow, I've got Richard and Paula, like two very. I think I really love the music that both of you have written. So it's quite. I don't know if maybe this session will have some little reminders of some things for you, but you guys are already pretty experienced composers, so it's a pleasure to have you guys here. Let me know if you have any questions, please, Paula and Richard and anyone else watching. Thanks for joining. No worries, Paula. Yeah, so that's our melody writing. So what are we going to do next? Let's try. Let's give it a go together. We'll apply the same sort of process. So I'm using MuseScore here. I'm just going to swap screens here to MuseScore. I'm using MuseScore. It's free. You can just Google MuseScore. It's free. Another program I suggest trying out, especially if you prefer apps, is called Flat. So you can try Flat or you can try MuseScore. MuseScore is a little bit more advanced, got more features. Flat is great. It's a bit more basic and it has a fretboard that you can input notes from, a guitar fretboard. But I think, you know, getting to know some kind of notation software is really helpful. Try to get a little familiar. There's lots of cool shortcuts, and we'll go through some of that as we write this melody here. Okay, so here we go, writing a simple melody. I've got the template all ready to go here. So we've got our scale. It's the same scale, it's just a G major scale, but the tabs there too if you prefer. Okay. There's our scale. So we've got what I've done here, and this is actually really important. Don't overlook what I've done. Do you notice what I've done to the page? See how it's nicely formatted, nice and organized and neat. 4 bars per line. So we've got 4 bars here, 4 bars in the middle, 4 bars at the end. So what are we going to do with that? That first line and the third line will be our A section. And then the second line in the middle will be our B section. Okay, try to remember I could have written down all those features, but try to remember as much as you can, right? So, because if you can have these things in your head a little bit, even vague, some of these details in your head, it makes composing easier because you don't have to rely on the information all the time. You can remember, oh yeah, the first line, and I'm going to repeat that in the third line, the B section, I'm going to repeat bars 7 and 8 here. I'm going to do an arch-shaped melody here. This maybe we'll do descending, and then we'll finish. You know, that's just going to be a repeat of the first line there. So, all right, where are we going to start? We'll start with our our tonic note, our home note of G. Okay, so there's our G. Now this is where you could use a little bit of inspiration, creativity, and improvisation to get you started. You don't have to. You can, like, MuseScore plays back, and like there's all these great shortcuts. I can change the rhythms by pressing the numbers at the top. So if I press 5, it's a crotchet or a quarter note. If I press 4, it becomes a quaver or an eighth note. So I can literally just almost randomly, I can just input some notes in. They'll go. I'm just kind of showing you this, that it's, oops, you know what I forgot? Rookie mistake here. Rookie mistake, I forgot the key signature. Should have put that key signature in. There we go. We're in the key of G major. Might stick with that. Okay, I just typed in some letters there. I don't even know exactly how that's going to sound, but what I'm trying to point out here is that if you've got these basic templates and structures in place, it's actually hard to make it sound bad. Is that you can almost randomly put the notes in and it would probably sound half decent. So I'll try this. I like that quite a bit. I might do what I did in the melody that I wrote earlier. I repeated bar 2 of the melody. So I'm going to copy that whole bar and paste it in there. I love doing that, copy paste. Now I feel like it needs to kind of come to a bit of a conclusion. Maybe I'll do something like that. Okay, so I've just used notes of the scale, C, D, D. And we'll make that a half note or a semi-breve there. So, I mean a minim, sorry. Okay, so that's our A section line is done. So now I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it at the end. That's 2/3 of our piece done. And I'm just going to take this D and drop it down to a G to end on the home note. So I'll play that line for you. There we go. So our melody is pretty well formed. Now we've got a bit of an arched shape too. It's rising and falling, and then it's kind of falling and rising. Interesting. That's kind of nice. It's rising and falling, and then it's falling and rising. You can see that visually. That's one thing about the tablature that is missing. You don't get that kind of information with tablature. That's why I love to do both. And you can see how MuseScore, ties the two together. If I change that note, it changes the tablature. If I want to change where this note is played, like let's say I want this to be played on the 4th string, I just literally drag it down. 5th string, 6th string, okay, just drag them around. It's really nifty. So now we need our B section melody, but am I moving too fast? Let me know, let me know how you're going with this. How are you going with this? Let me pull up the chat here. No questions. Let me know if you have any questions so far. Let me know if you have questions so far. We're writing a melody based on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just in case you've come in a bit later. We're writing a melody based on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just a single line melody. We've got this A, B, A structure. So we're repeating the A line, those first 4 bars we're repeating at the end. And now we're going to write 2 more measures. Once those 2 bars are finished, we'll copy them and paste them into the bars 8 and 9, 9 and 10, those 2. We'll copy these 2, copy and paste them here, just like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star does. All right, so now we need to contrast. So maybe I'd like this melody to be quite static now. That's what we're going to do again. Or we could make it static but going down slowly, so like it's following Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, because Twinkle Twinkle Little Star goes, the first line. Here, this is the second line. So it's just descending by step, going down. So we could do something similar. Again, we don't want to copy, right? We don't want it to sound the same, but we want to take the general idea. So maybe we'll start, let's see. This is where, if we're in a Zoom meeting, like we have many Zoom workshops on the creative classical guitarist, I'd often get different people to try out, if you've got your guitar in your hand, it's like try out a little line and then I'll just notate it down, and we have this kind of collaborative composition. So I don't think it works quite the same with YouTube Live. So oh, we've got a question in the chat. Maybe I'll take a look at that after we do this. Okay, let's take a look at that question after it. It looks like might be a lengthy answer. Okay, so where are we going to start? So I'll play that first line again. I feel like now I just have to remember what I did. That's can be one of the challenges about notating things. So that's where you can just repeat it a few times, drill it in so that you remember it, and then transcribe it. So I like that. That's quite simple, and it's dropping down, starting on F sharp, and I'm literally just pressing F, E, D, G, D, C, B, G. And then we're going to copy and paste it. Copy those two bars, paste. But notice I made this B into a half note, into a minim there. Like it just gives it a bit more of just a little bit of a conclusion. But you could keep the G if you wanted to. So then we get. And then we go back to the A line. Let me try the whole melody now and see what we think. Okay, the whole melody. Beautiful. There's a lot you can do with that. Something I should have mentioned towards the start is that simplicity is often the goal. Simplicity is the goal. Do not try, especially if you're a new composer, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't try be revolutionary. Don't think, oh, this sounds too generic. You're a first-time composer. Or you don't, don't expect to reinvent the wheel if you don't know anything about composition, right? So really important that I mentioned that simplicity is the goal. And actually Chopin said that simplicity is the crowning achievement, or I can't remember his quote. He had a great quote, but simplicity was very important to Chopin. And other composers, I know that they would often say, as they got older and they matured, they would often get simpler. You look at some of Beethoven's late music, like piano sonatas, and maybe not his symphonies, some of his string quartet writing, some of his piano writing. At some points, it's so simple. You look at the melody, and it's like a child could have written it. This Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is very childlike. Mozart composed it. Pieces that we know, like Recuerdos de la Alhambra, for example, uses a very simple melody. So don't be ashamed or anything about writing something simple. I would be very happy with this because first of all, it's just a melody, so there's more you can do with it. Even on its own, I quite like it. I think it's got a nice tune. It's got a nice feel to it. But if we did add harmony, what would that sound like? Just to give you an idea. No, I don't want that. I want I feel like repeating it. Actually, I'm going to make this executive decision. Here's the cool thing about composition too. If you want to do something, you've got the rights. You've got the law. The laws behind you. You're protected. There's no police that are going to come and say, unless you write something that sounds exactly the same as something else. But I just feel like that should be repeated. So what can we do with this? Repeat. And then B line with some harmony. And then back to A. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you come up with your own little different ending if you wanted to, but yeah, there we go. And then we could repeat that if we wanted to. I'm just showing you some of the possibilities too. Like once you have a well-structured melody, like depending on your capabilities and willingness to try different things and all that, who knows where you might go next with it. But I'm just kind of showing you where you could go. You could expand the piece by using repeats like that, that kind of thing. So that's it. There we go. Writing a simple melody based on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That was our first method. We're making fairly good time. Fairly good time. So do we have any questions? I know there was let's see, there was a long question from Richard. What's the quintessential elements that form Italian guitar folk music versus Spanish guitar folk music? Yeah, yes, that's something that would take a bit of research for me to answer in depth. Italian guitar folk music, Spanish. I mean, yeah, that's I can't answer that right now, but it's a very good question to explore melodies. Like you could explore like Celtic, Irish, English music, Baroque music, like what makes a melody distinctive in these different styles, different eras, different countries, regions, things like that. Paula wants to keep more of the rhythm of the first line. Yeah, we could. Okay, we could do that. We've got ta, ti, 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 ta. So like you just add ta, ti, 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 ta. So I'm just using the same rhythm there. Crotchet, quaver, 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 crotchet. So I'll just fill it in just to give you an idea, just to show you that that there is flexibility like this in composition. Okay, so that's using the same rhythm as bar 1 now, and it sounds. Well, like you could use the same rhythm if you wanted to, more of the same rhythm. Totally fine to do that. Yeah, you could do that. Okay. Great question. And after you played many notes and more notes, simplicity emerges as the crowning achievement of the art. Oh, that's the quote by Chopin, I think, that Richard's helping me to remember. Thank you. And Richard would love to write in the style of Baroque. Yeah. Well, it's great to write in the style. If you want to write in the style of the Baroque, I would study a piece by a Baroque composer, probably thinking Bach. Study a piece by Bach. What does he do? How does he structure his music? What sort of chords does he use? What sort of transitions? What sort of cadences? What sort of modulations? What sort of counterpoint? What sort of texture? and make notes, study that. Like Mozart said, there is not a famous master whose music I've not studied through many times. Study that music and then learn from it, and then write in that style using the same or similar structures to what you find in the piece. Okay, so that could be a whole video in itself. And I think I've done I've done some videos, I've done some live streams where I've written in the style, written a prelude in the style of Bach. There's a few videos there, so, and probably others. There's actually a lot. There's couple of videos where I show you how to write an Allemande in the style of Bach. You can check that out also on my channel too. So yeah, check it out. If you want to join the Creative Classical Guitarist, we have entire courses, we have live sessions and everything that goes through that. So we best move on to the second method. Hopefully you guys are, I'm not moving too quickly and you sort of able to follow along here. So we've done that. Our next method is to use a chord progression. So here we go. We're going to use a chord progression. Oops, I need to share the right. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. Sorry, I'm just finding. Where are we? We want to go to chord. I have so many windows up right now. I want to go to this one. That's the one. Okay, so method number 2, chord progression. So this one is a little bit more flexible, but there's still quite a bit of structure to it. So the process goes like this. Use 4 chords to create an A section, 1 chord per bar. Use another 4 chords to create a B section. Try to contrast the chords, use different types of chords. And then finally you can add, if you want to, you can add arpeggios, fills, melody as you like. So it's a little bit more flexible, but there's still a bit of structure to it. Some people prefer to start with chords. This is also a nice, I guess, addition or we call it supplement to what we just did. So we focused more on melody, single line writing. So now if you focus on writing chords, you're sort of filling in that part of the equation, that part of the recipe. So that's it. So here's one that was prepared earlier. This was actually written by a student. I guided a student recently to write this. So what we can see here is we've got 4 bars there. That's kind of our A. I think we did maybe A1, A2, and then B. So let's call that A1. And then, yeah, this is like A2 here. So 4 bars of an A2. So the chords are sort of similar a little bit. And then we did a B here. And I think that's 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, up to there. You can see a nice long chord to end that. And then we repeated A1 there. Okay, so that's the structure of that. It's always good when you're studying music to look at the big picture first. Look at the sections, contrasts, key changes, things like that, because that gives you a much better framework and context for everything else. So yeah, so that's it there. All right, so let me play this for you. You can have a listen. So we're using some interesting chords. I was teaching different types of chords, like 7th chords, major 7ths, and add 9s and more extended chords and that kind of thing. So here is this piece based on a chord progression. So very nice, very beautiful, very colorful chords there. It did start, honestly, it did start with strumming. You know, it started with, let's just map these chords out, one at a, you know, one chord per bar, just strum. I was aiming. It's a nice chord progression actually, and it's a little bit random in that they're all major seventh chords. It's a bit unusual, but the reason they are like that is because we had a whole page of major seventh chords and just jumped from one to another, and that worked. That worked quite well. I asked this student to just jump from this one and choose another one, and she went there, and as I choose another one, she tried that one, and then let's go back to the first one. It's like sometimes compositions like there can be a certain randomness factor to it that can work really well. And then we contrasted in the middle, the A2 section. We started we used a different rhythm, and then we used this minor chord and triplet rhythm, so a bit of contrast there. And then in the B section we used minor chords, so D minor, and again a different rhythm, different sort of texture, A minor, and then back to D minor, same rhythm, and then an E sus4 chord, going to an E chord, and then back to our A1 section, just a literal copy and paste of A1. So we have this sort of three-part structure again, but we expanded it. If you ever want to expand a piece, just add more sections. So if you've got A, B, A, you can double it, right? So you can go A, B, A. If you want to just double it, just go A1, A2, B1, B2, and then usually you'd end with A1 again at the end. How's that? It sounds so simple, but actually that works very well, and it's done many times. Often when you've got a more extended piece, there's something like that that's going on behind it. So right, so let's try this together. Let us try this. I will just get this ready here to go. Composing with chords, here we go. Okay, so composing with chords, there we go. Okay, so once again I've mapped it out. I've mapped out the page, so we're ready to go. A section here, 4 chords, B section here, 4 chords, 4 different chords, and then back to the A section. So this time we're just going to use chords, and then maybe some really basic, you know, like little changes, little fills, arpeggios, that kind of thing. And again, this is the cool thing about MuseScore. You can do, if you go to the palettes, you can just use the search toolbar there, the search thing there, and then write fretboard diagrams, and that comes up as a palette. And then I don't know if I did a video on this, or we did this, we took a whole month in the Creative Classical Guitarist, all of January, just exploring MuseScore, all the different shortcuts. And because if you're not fluent with MuseScore or whatever notation program you're using, it slows you down so much. Here you are with your music all coming out, and then here's the notation that you want to get, and if you've got that barrier of being really slow, or just not wanting to use notation, I mean, you can always go by hand, you can write by hand, but the notation software, you know, it's pretty good because it's very neat, it's very legible, it's got all the bells and whistles you need, it makes it faster copying and pasting and other shortcuts. So I strongly recommend that you just dabble, just have a little bit of fun on one of these notation programs. MuseScore, I recommend, this is what I'm using now, or you can also try Flat as well. I've done a video on Flat on my YouTube channel too. So what are we going to do here? We've got in the fretboard diagrams, we've just got our basic chords. So if I press that and I press C, the C chord will come up. And if I click on this, it will even play it. I don't know if that doesn't seem to be very loud, but hopefully you can hear it a little bit. But it's playing some kind of C chord there. So let's start with a C chord. We'll do something in C. This is again where I would ask, people here. Why don't you in the chat what chords you want me to use? They have to be. Well, they don't have to be. I can modify these chords, but try to keep them not too complicated. Okay. So tell me what chords. Oh, let's get some interaction here as much as we can in YouTube. What chords would you like me to use? What chords would you like me to use? Let me know. While I wait for you guys to put that in, I'll just show you quickly. If you click on that and you go properties, you can just change the chord from there. Make that a B, make that a C, take the open string away, add the open string, take the C away, add an open B for a C major 7. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. It's so easy to do that. You can change the voicing of it if you want, like that kind of. Yeah, it's still a C chord. You can where is it? Where you can do the fret, marking the fret. Why have I forgotten this so quickly? Visible frets. Oh, you can even include fret number. So if you go to like fret 5 or something. Fret 3, let's say fret 3, you can write in that. You could write in a different voicing, and then you can show the number. You can increase the fretboard there, which is pretty cool as well. So pretty nifty little tricks with MuseScore. Okay, here we go. Paula's, here we go. D minor, B minor, and then cheer up to G major 7, and then Richard's got D major. Here we go. So let's get some interaction going. All right, so we're going to do C, and then we'll go B minor, which I think is here. Already B. Where's B minor? A, B minor. There we go. Okay, B minor, sure thing. And then, D minor first. Sorry, D minor first. Oh, sorry, B minor here and D minor first. So it's going C, D minor, B minor, and then G major 7. So that will give us our A section with those 4 chords. G, okay, we've got G7, so I'm going to go to properties, and I'm just going to change that to an F sharp like that. So we get, and maybe we'll make it even a bit simpler by taking these notes out. So we just get a 1-finger chord. Nice 1-finger chord. We can simplify the others too, but we'll take a bit of time. So you can also edit that, and now G major, capital M7, G major 7. There we go. A section done. Let's have a listen to these chords. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's very nice. Okay, I sort of feel like I want to repeat that. Let's do it. See, this is the cool thing with composition. You can follow your intuition, follow those leadings. If you feel like, I want this to last a bit longer, just make it last a bit longer. If you wanted to cut it short, then do that too. So we'll add some repeats there. By the way, these palettes are so great. If I need to find like repeat, right, I just search. I can search the palettes and find it that way. Beautiful, I like that. And then we can copy and paste that into our A section repeat at the end. So now we just need a B section. What have we got? It's 1 a.m. Richard's having a hard time. Well, you gave us what? Didn't you say D? You've retracted it. You retract your D. Okay. Well, I'm going to put D in. So we'll put a D chord in. And then let me know if you want other chords in. I'm ready to go, or otherwise I'll put them in myself. So we'll go D chord. What's first two chords are very Hobbit, very Lord of the Rings. That's. I like the B minor. I like the D to the B minor to the G. That's beautiful. But yeah, then we go to D major. I might go back to C. That's what I feel like doing. But thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to encourage people. Richard said in the chat, I'm starting a revolution, getting more classical guitar composers. Where we need it takes a village. It's not just me. There's lots of I'm trying to encourage as many people to give it a go, and there are definitely other creative guitarists out there too, who are part of that sort of mission. But yeah, anyway, let's go to D and then let's go to C next. And I hope that you guys watching this, that seeing this just encourages you to compose, and you realize like, oh, it's kind of fun. There's a bit of randomness, bit of intuition, structure. It's all it all sort of combines. So D. I almost feel like repeating those two because there's so much. Okay, E major, email, not email, E major. Okay, all right. E major. Okay. Your wish is my command. How are we gonna go? We're gonna transition back to C. Okay, we'll go to E major. Can you give me one more chord? What would transition well back to C? So if we go E major, okay, D, C, E. You can almost spell things too, like what can you spell? I don't know. D, A, D, A, B, dab, or B, A, D, bad. You can spell different things. Cab, C, A, B, if you wanted to, just to have a bit of fun. So we have D, C, E. Maybe E can go at the end. What do you think? Maybe that. And then we go back to the C chord. Maybe E at the end. Maybe back to a D again. D major. Okay. A minor. All right, A minor. Let's do A minor. All right, try A minor. A minor. Okay. Let's have a listen to that. How that sounds. Oh, that's nice. And then we go back to. Now let me see what we can do with this. If I just through a bit of improvisation, and that like this was created now, like there was no pre-thought to this progression, right? Except for let's just repeat the first line and the third line. So I'm just going to kind of play around with it and see. Sorry. That's really nice. That's there you go. I mean, I wouldn't have done it without you guys in the chat, honestly. Paula said G7. Oh, G7. No, she said G major 7. I see it in the chat. John Baker, thanks for your input. You would use a G major. Where do you want to put the G major? Do you mean G instead of for going back to C? Oh, I must have missed that. Sorry. G major would probably sound better than A minor. I don't know, but but where, John? Where do you want it? And then F diminished. Oh, okay. You got to tell me where though. Where would you like those chords, please? Where would you like them? G major and F diminished. G major and F diminished. Where would you like them? Which line? Which bar? I'm happy to try and put them anywhere. And this is how, like, the openness that you can have in composition is astonishing sometimes. Like, I am willing to accept just about any chord you put in the chat. I will give it a try. And I think there will be a certain level of, okay, following G. Okay. So I'm assuming we want to change this to this G major 7. We want to change to G. Okay, so we'll do that. If I'm reading correct, if I'm interpreting this correctly, so we'll change that to a G. We'll just make it a 1-finger G chord like that, and then we'll do F sharp diminished here, or F diminished. Okay, F diminished. Okay, so F diminished. So it'll play it. F diminished. We have F A flat and C flat. Okay. Let's see what sort of voicing would be nice. F A flat, A flat. So we could do that, or we could do F A flat. Could we do a fully diminished like that? Let's try it. Maybe if you don't mind, I'll add the okay, we're going to do F, we're going to do D, we're going to do A flat, we're going to do C flat, or otherwise known as B. That pretty much matches that. Okay, there we go. Is that following? Okay, hopefully I got that, read that right. Let's see what do we get now. So D minor and then B minor. G, oh, that's nice. It's like out of the murky. It's like it's so murky here, and then C major, and then A minor. It's still a bit murky, and then E major it's kind of like, the sun rising, and then we're back. G major 7, or you could end on G major, you could end, okay, then A. Okay, I'm happy to change. Maybe this will be the last one to change, but I'm happy to try. F sharp, F diminished, and then A minor. Yeah, okay, that's a bit unusual, but we can, again, I'm happy to try it, and you'd be surprised how, like, you can make just about any chord progression work. Okay, so we're going to go A and then A, F diminished and then A. Let's see, A major, there it is, A. Okay, so that second line will now sound like F diminished, A minor, E, and then back to, I think still works really nicely. It's almost, I almost find it more challenging to find chords that don't work together than chords that do work together. It's yeah. So that's our second method there, composing with chords. I think you can just try that structure. That's just that A, B, A structure. You can map it out like this with the chord charts, and that's a good starting point. And then if you want to notate more precise, finger picking, right hand arpeggio patterns or melodies or anything like that, you can do that. So, all right. Yeah, and Richard says this is infinitely more instructive than reading music exercises. Rubber meets the road. Yeah. I think this is you're putting into practice so many different things, and there's an element of exploration, creativity to it. You're not just reading something that's been done many times before. You're creating something new on the spot. It's really exciting. So there we go. Very fun. I think that worked pretty well. Like still having a bit of collaboration over live YouTube there. That's really cool. Okay, we've got our last topic now, last method, which is to use a template. So I'm just going to swap back to my slides here. We're going to use a template. Here we go. Method number 3. Now we don't have much time left. I was trying to keep this to about an hour, so we'll have to keep this pretty quick. I'm not sure if we'll be able to actually compose something. You can see that a template is much more detailed now. What I mean by a template is not just a basic like ABA, like basic stuff. It's a mapped out thing. So that's one example of a template, and then this is another example of a template. Every chord is mapped out, the phrase structure, the keys you're in, what you do with the melodies, like not every, but a lot of different elements of the composition are already mapped out. You can always change them as well as you go. You don't have to be, it's not set, nothing's set in stone. You can always change things. So this is how you can create your own template. Choose a piece that you know how to play well and that you find interesting. Study its form, phrase, structure, and harmonic progression. Write down those features onto a blank score and fill in the details in your own unique way. So can you guess what this, I don't have the chords in this template, but it's just one example. We're in E major, it's smooth melodic movement. Repeated phrase, climax point, bar 9, bar 13, 14, 15, and then 16 cadence. And then E minor, turbulent melodic movement, change of texture, climax point, high note, and so on. I could have added more detail. That's actually not super detailed, but even a more loose kind of description of what's going on is very, very helpful. It's so, it can guide us so well. Now I can say, all right, smooth melodic movement. I'll stay in the key of E major, and I can just start from there. Smooth melodic movement. What do we want? No. Oop. Let me try. And then I'm going to repeat it because that's what it says to do. Repeat. I don't remember exactly what I did. And then a climax point. And then I'm going to cadence. I'm hearing this chord. How do I do it? Okay, so I just came up with some music that's loosely based on Lagrima, on those things there, and I think that sounded quite different, I'd say, to Lagrima. because I'm taking I'm going right to the core structure of it. You know, when you go to the core structure of something, you are not going to sound too similar. It's the surface details that make something sound really similar to something else. Core structure, I mean, everyone would be in chord, you know, like, because we're using the same chord, we're using the same stuff all the time. It's just in different ways. So, yeah, I just wanted, that's the beauty, the power of a template. So here is one template, and what I wanted to do is actually play a piece. Now, there's been dozens of pieces now, maybe more, that have been composed using this same template, and they're all a bit different. Now, this template's based on Adelita. It's got a lot of detail in it, so it might look a bit overwhelming, and yeah, especially if you're a newer composer. But you know, I'd recommend, you know, taking it step by step. And I do have, if you want to learn more, I've got a course you can check out on the website creativeclassicalguitarist.com. I think there's the links in the description for that website. So you go to courses. Compose a piece in 1 week is one of the courses. That's also available on the Creative Classical Guitarist. So if you become a member of the Creative Classical Guitarist, you can join these wonderful composers like Paula and Richard and many others who have composed wonderful pieces, and learn more about this like level of detail. And we've got live sessions throughout the week as well that go in depth too. So, but I wanted to play a piece here by, well, we've got Paula in the chat. I was going to play a piece by Trisha, another member, but Paula, I like to, you know, I kind of keep an eye out on who's in the chat and who's around and stuff. So I will play Paula's piece that was based on this template. This is her Candlelight Mazurka. I was going to actually play this. So another thing that's coming up soon in a couple of days, I'm going to do another Chopin live stream with more repertoire, because I did one last week and I only played just a tiny bit of what I wanted to. So so I was going to play this in a couple of days time. I still will. So yeah, love you to come along to that as well. That it's an upcoming live stream in a couple of days time. I'll play some music by Chopin and pieces inspired by him. But this is Paula's Candlelight Mazurka, which is based on this template here. Now, she's written it in a different key. She's done some quite different things, but the deep sort of structure is still similar. So I hope you enjoy Paula's Candlelight Mazurka. right, a beautiful composition there by Paula Child, who's in the chat with us. Very special to have the composer herself in the chat, and this often happens in CCG, in the Creative Classical Guitarist. We have people playing their own pieces, or myself will be sight reading or reading through a piece for the first time with the composer there, and we get to hear the composer's thoughts about like how this came up. And very often it's not what you expect, you know. It's like, I started here and then it kind of went over here and I just went with that. And so there's a beautiful piece, very, and that was fairly early on, I think, in Paula's, one of maybe her third piece or something like that she'd composed. So yeah, very beautiful piece there. So that's using a template, and I don't think we really have time to actually do this together right now, because that would take probably a good, well, if you do it really quickly, you might be able to do it in 10 minutes. That's like the absolute fastest, but that's like, that's no talking, just that's like supercharged like concentration and stuff. So I might leave it at that, but there are templates you can find. Do I have a template for you guys? I'm pretty sure if you sign up to if you visit the creativeclassicalguitarist.com, I'm pretty sure if you'll see a notification to sign up for the newsletter. And if you do that, I think you'll get some templates. But you know what? I'll even one up you there and give you some templates right now here. I know that I had given some templates to the audience of Beatrix, who's on YouTube, and we had a great interview last year, and I gave her her audience some templates. So I'll post that link up for you here. So that's in the live chat right now. So you can just download templates right there. There's some information, the video about MuseScore and some of the shortcuts, and then there's some templates there and some videos you can watch just to get you started there. So yeah, I have been honestly almost just, what's language I can use, flabbergasted, at some of the people's first compositions. They'll send me something, say, I used this template, here's my first composition. It's like, wow, that's amazing, So I think if you've never tried it before, I think it's a really great way to get started. And you can try obviously these other methods we went through. So the first method being the writing a simple melody. So we just took Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, A, B, A. And then the second method was using chords, and that was quite random, honestly. A, B, A as well. One line of 4 chords, and then a second line of different chords, and then we repeated the third line. I mean, this stuff is almost easy enough to remember. I don't even need to show all these complicated templates and charts and things. Hopefully it's simple enough for you to grasp, even just in your mind, in your memory. So we did that. We did the chords, and then the last one is the template, and that's harder to grasp in your head, but you can actually have templates in your mind. Say, like, I'm going to do an A section, I'm going to use this kind of phrase, I'm going to use these chords, go. And that's your template, sort of done loosely. And then you could think in more details. You could say, I'm going to have an A section, maybe 8 bars long, is going to use 1, 4, 5, 1 chords. I'm going to use a melodic sequence in the first 4 bars with a pedal bass. It's like that. You can start to actually think that way. And so composition, back to Brahms's point, creativity without what's the word? Without craftsmanship. Without craftsmanship, creativity is a mere reed shaken in the wind. My brain's about giving out right now because we've gone through so much stuff. So that template idea, I showed you a template that's written down lots of details, right? Lots and lots of details, but it's possible to kind of have those ideas in your mind as you compose. You don't necessarily have to follow all of these, it can look a bit overly complicated when you see all these like things to do, but hopefully, that's just there to guide you, to give you more limitations so that you know exactly what to do. If you don't know what to do, you just say, what does the template say? What does the template say to do? Do this, go to major, or go to this chord, or do a sequence, or whatever it is, and you can follow that. If you want to try something different, you always can. So anyway, we best wrap it up there. So please, thank you so much, and please join me Thursday at, when is this live stream? Thursday at 1:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I think that is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time Wednesday. I'll be giving another Chopin concert. That's 1:30 Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. You should see the event on my YouTube channel. And hope to see you there. And please feel free if you've got any other questions, leave them in the chat. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Hope you